Alright guys, welcome back. While you guys were off going to the bathroom or whatever it is you're doing, I went ahead and cleaned up the extra lines that we don't need as part of our front and top view. The only thing I have left to do is to turn our hidden lines into hidden lines. So, set my erasing shield with the parallel dots over the line that's supposed to be hidden and just erase through. Do the same thing over here. As you can see, it's entirely possible to still be able to do accurate drawings even when you don't have access to a parallel rule. It just takes a little bit of concentration, a little bit of paying attention, and then you'll be golden. Got two more lines on this one to erase through. See, finding them, that's the hard part sometimes. Erase through there, and there we go. Hairbrush, there we go. Alright, so there we go. We have the front and side views down. We just got two left to do. And let's take a look at what those are going to entail. Well, actually, let's not take a look at what those are going to entail for the side view. Should be easy enough to figure out. We know that the top of our shape is 2 inches tall, or deep, actually. And we know that our front view is 2 inches tall. So what do we remember? Yeah, so I guess you're not going to be here to answer that question. What we should remember is that we don't actually need to do any measurements vertically to do this side view over here. So I'm going to set my triangle up here. Let's see here. I'm going to line it up here. There we go. And to save some time and subsequently some erasing, I'm going to combine my triangles here and set it up so that, there we go. There. Okay, so what I have done is set it up so that the 1 inch mark on my 45-degree triangle is sitting dead center in this quadrant. And then I took the bottom of it, or I took my 30-degree triangle and lined it up with the bottom of my front view. And then moved it so that 1 inch measurement, like a whole inch, is lined up with the corner of my 45-degree triangle. What does that mean for me? It means that now, I can get that out of here, I can draw a 2-inch line, because we know it's 2 inches long, and be left with a line that's 2 inches long. Excuse me. Having that done, just like we did earlier, line this up with the bottom of my title block. The 1 inch mark is now aligned with the end of the 2 inch line we just made, and 2 inches down from the top. So in this case, I went from the 3 inch mark to the 1 inch mark. We're going to flip my triangle over and do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you zoom in on this from your perspective, it may not look like I'm sitting on 1 inch. That's okay. It does from my perspective. That means my measurement's still going to come out right, even if it doesn't look like it from your angle. And honestly, I'm not sure that you'll even be able to zoom in far enough to tell. But if you do, that's fine. That's the reason. Alright. That side. And let's flip it over and do it this way. It's all about finding the most space that you can use to visually keep things straight. There we go. And with the entire outline of the side view, all that remains is to put in our hidden lines, because that's all you're going to see. I take that back. We've got two solid lines that make up the corners of the 3/8 inch marks here. Yep. So we have two hidden lines to draw and two solid lines. Easy enough to do. especially the hidden lines, because all we have to do is carry them over from the side that's already there. So to do that, I'm going to use my trusty blue triangle. And am I going to do that like that? I think I do. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is fine. Blue triangle lining up with that line there, and we're going to carry it across. Do the same thing with that one there, although it's going to be a little sketchier. So I'm also going to line up the triangle with this edge of the shape. And then I'm not going to twitch and cause the whole thing to move on me, because that would just be a waste of time. There we go. We got our two hidden lines. Easy peasy. If you remember, these are 3/8 of an inch down. So I'm going to set my triangle down here on the bottom. Come over 1, 2, 3/8 and make a mark. Come over 1, 2, 3/8 and make a mark. Set my bottom here. And carry the line up. Same thing for this corner. There we are. And carry the line up. Yay-haw. Okay. Finished with the side view, all except for pulling out the hidden lines with our erasing shield. Look at that, not even an extra line to have to erase. Don't you just love it when that happens? So, consequently, erasing through this erasing shield is a lot easier when you've got those, when you get the erasers that should be in most of your kits. You know, the white plasticky ones. Alright, so all that's left now is our isometric view. In order to do this isometric view properly and have it fit, remember, you're going to be putting it in this corner, but it's not going to be centered in the same way that these are. And that is fine. As long as you do your best to get as much of your shape on here as possible, then you're good to go. For this, we're going to need mostly just... You can't even see that, can you? Mostly just the clear 30, 60, 90 triangle. And we're going to lay some stuff out here so that we can work this as best as possible. So, first things first. With this one, you're going to want to start by drawing the right side view, but not completely drawing it until you're sure it's going to fit. And here, let me just show you what I mean by that. Okay. So I'm going to arbitrarily choose a point that's a little bit off center and probably right there, okay? So if I had to measure this, I'd say 3/4 to an inch up from the bottom and about a 1/2 inch off center line. I'm not sure this is going to work. We're going to try this out first. So, here we go again. Wrong mouse. I got too many mice. Be back. And we're back. That is exceedingly frustrating. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to find that point right there. Line up. I'm going to line up the bottom of my triangle. And we're just going to measure real quick. Roughly. It looks... So what we're trying to do here. This might even have been an easier place to start. We've got the bottom here, which is parallel to the bottom of the paper. We have the 2-inch mark right here, which is the 2 inches that are going to be the bottom of our 30, 60, 90. And I went ahead and drew the line that makes the bottom. Okay. The key here, and what we're trying to do is figure out how to make this fit on the paper as best we can. So we're going to flip the triangle over. I'm going to utilize my parallel rule here. I keep getting terms mixed up. I apologize. I'm going to use my drafting scale here as a parallel rule, the best I can. Okay. To transfer, maybe this will even be better. What I want to do is transfer. Oh, I'm going to break Uh-oh. Guys still with me? Good. Sorry. Keep dropping the battery pack for the mic I'm using. Trust me, I tried this with the camera or the microphone built into my computer. It was a disaster. You couldn't hear me. Okay, so I'm going to use the edge of the paper or the edge of the title block here. Slide this back and forth. Looks like I'm pretty close. I'm going to use 6. And adjust it. There we go. Okay, so the whole length of our object was 4 1/4, right? Let's double check ourselves because I don't trust me. 4 1/4. So I'm going to come 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. We are going to come very, very close to our top view, and I'm just going to go with it. And you can too. Ordinarily, what I would definitely recommend is sliding this over just a little bit more. So actually, if you haven't started this, why don't you go ahead and move it over just a hair. There we go. Alright. So 4 1/4. Good. Next, do the same thing. Well, actually, not quite the same thing. We need to make this a 2-inch tall line. Remember, we're making the rectangular prism that our isometric view is going to fit inside of. There, and there. Got the lines all nice and marked. Alright, so I think we're going to come up with, I think we're going to end up discovering that this is not going to fit on the paper. And you know what? Honestly, at this point, that's fine. I'm not going to make you start over. I'm not going to make you change paper. We're just going to finish it as best we can with some of it hanging off the paper. As long as you can do this much of it right, then we should be okay in the end. Okay, so let's go on then. Do the same thing here. Line up with that edge, 2 inches on the front. Same thing back here. So basically we're making all of our vertical... Oh, actually, you know what? We might actually be okay here. Or at least very close to it. You're going to be off a little bit, but I think we can be okay with that. Alright, so I'm going to flip this over. There we go. And because we did the measurements... I'm not going to worry about the parallel, or, keeping, we should, basically the measurements we made will keep it parallel. There we go. Now let's finish up as much of the top box that we can fit on here as possible. Anybody is paying any attention to this video and can tell me which cartoon from the 90s I just hummed the theme song to, I will give you a pat on the back and a shiny sticker. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got quite a bit of this top part that's going to be hanging off, but luckily for us, it's a mirror. So if you do this side right, the other side, it's all golden. We're good. So let's start here by doing some measurements and then just making some straight lines. See, this is why making the cube or the rectangular prism that's supposed to fit in is so important, especially with isometric drawing, and especially now that we don't have the parallel rules to work with. So coming over 1, 2, 3/8 if we remember, and coming over 1, 2, 3/8 from that side. Do the same up here at the top, just measuring along the lines. 1, 2, 3/8. 1, 2, 3/8. Okay, very good. Connect the dots. Connect the dots. Okay. Now we've got to move in some, so we're going to take this back again. I swear, I spend most of my life figuring out which orientation to flip triangles to get the measurements that I want. 1, 2, 3/8 there. I'll go ahead and draw that over. Do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3/8. There we go. Connect the dots. There we go. We're going to do the same thing at the bottom here. Ooh, there we go. That worked out pretty nice on its own. 1, 2, 3/8. 3/8. There we go. Actually, now that I think about it, I could have done this part without measuring. It's weird. Weird that I have that theme song stuck in my head. So I have not seen that show in quite a long time. Probably since the 90s. Alright, so other than erasing the extra lines, the side view's done. Let's go ahead and measure over on these lines to finish the top. So we've got a measurement of 1 inch, right? Line up here. Dot. Line up here. Dot. Take said dots and connect them. Okay, here's where things get a little tricky, but not too crazy. Playing with angles at isometrics are probably the harder part. Like, I mean, if I could have my way, not only would we have, not had this whole quarantine business happen, but we could have at least waited until after we had done this lesson in person. So anyway, okay, so what I just did was I measured down 1 inch. This is a 45-degree angle. We can't use a 45-degree triangle to make this happen because it's not 45 degrees anymore, technically, when you actually draw it. Don't read too much into how I said that, okay? So if we look here, we come down 1 inch. What's the hallmark of a 45-degree angle? You have the hypotenuse, 45 degrees. That means both legs are the same length, right? So we come down 1 inch. We're going to go this way up our 30-degree angle for 1 inch from the dot we just made. Making sure that our line is straight. Now notice I didn't actually draw the line that was 1 inch. I just made a mark. Okay. And then all I have to do is connect the line to the dot. Okay? We're going to do the exact same thing, but opposite on this side. And the reason we have to do that is because since we had to change the size, we don't know how long this line is anymore. So all we're going to do here is just like before, measure 1 inch along, put a dot. Set up triangle as a parallel rule. Ooh, look at that. I got lucky. Come down, put a dot at 3 inches because that's where the measurement showed up on here for me. And put a dot over here at the 5 inch because that's where that came up. And then connect it. Okay, so it's 1/4 of an inch. That's kind of what I expected. But I couldn't tell you for sure because I have not done this drawing like this yet. we're doing it for the first time together here. Alright, so we got that done. Nice. Easy peasy. That looks like it should be a straight line, but it really isn't. Okay, so in order to get this, since we don't have a back line to put a mark on, flip this over, and we're just going to run it off the page. From that dot back. And from this dot to, let's see here, there. 2 inches. Very nice. That is not a continuation of my earlier TV theme. I'm just humming because why not? Okay, so what I just did there was I put a mark on the board that's above my paper because I did forget about one thing that not having that top corner makes a problem, and that is figuring out where this angle line goes to. So I just came back 2 inches along this line, put a dot, and then connected it down to here. And the very last step for that is to connect right there, and that should connect over to that section there. So, alright, essentially, everything about the top view, or the isometric part, is done, save for one thing. Let's see, what, 21 minutes on this part alone? Okay, we're basically about done. You're going to use the exact same steps to finish up the bottom here, and let me pause. I'm going to go ahead and do that just because we're taking forever. Or actually, you know what? I'm just going to time-lapse through this part for you. Okay, welcome back. So, one thing that you might have noticed while I was doing that is I came through here and measured down here at the bottom. Found out this is 2 inches between, and this is 1.5 inches long. So what I did was I put 2 inches here, checked the measure, came up 3/8 of an inch, checked the measure, and then came over a quarter of an inch on both sides and connected the line in between, just connected the dots. And that's it. Other than erasing any extra stuff, we're going to call this lab good. Ask me questions. My office hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10:30. If you have any questions any other time, send it on the Discord. Email me. I'll be a little slower at getting back to you then. And all right, good luck, guys. We'll talk to you. I'll have something new for you up next Monday. Going for lab. If you haven't seen yet, if you look at Canvas, the only labs that you should be able to see are the only ones we're going to do. So, following this, we have lab 32, which is going to be isometric circles, and then lab 37, 38 and 39 are all perspective labs, which they're basically walkthroughs on the or in your lab work. And then finally will be 41 and 46, which talk about dimensioning, and 41 is about dimensioning. 46 is exactly the same type of thing that you're going to do as 41, but it's your final practice. So, all right, keep in touch. Get this done. Get it turned into Canvas, uploaded, Cam Scanner. If you're having any issues with that, because I know some people have been, let me know. I have an alternate method for you, but we don't want to have to get into that unless we have to. So, stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll talk to you again real soon.